Have you ever felt in the silence of your soul an inexplicable call, as if something greater was trying to speak to you, waiting for you to wake up to a deeper truth? In this video, we're going to reveal the good news of Christ and what it really means for the chosen ones. Those who, like you, feel they've been called to something greater. If you feel there's more to life than meets the eye, here's what you'll gain: clarity about your purpose, tools to raise your vibrational frequency, and answers to the innermost questions of your spiritual journey. Christ's messages are not just ancient scriptures, they are a living map that will guide you on every step of your journey. And that journey, dear chosen one, starts now. Every second, the universe gives you the chance to awaken to the quantum reality of love and co-creation. Ask yourself, are you ready to manifest this truth in your life? As Christ himself said, the kingdom of God is within you. And it is exactly that power that we are going to explore. But there is an even greater revelation waiting for you. Are you ready to receive it? Now is the time to awaken to who you really are. Shall we go together? Have you ever had that moment when the world around you seems to slow down and a deep, almost indescribable feeling takes hold of you? As if, for a few seconds, something or someone was trying to communicate with you in a way that only your heart understands? This is the call. It's not an ordinary call, but one that resonates directly with your soul, bringing up questions that you may have avoided for a long time. Who am I? Why am I here? What is the purpose of all this? And it is precisely from these questions that the good news of Christ arises, offering answers that are not outside of you, but deeply rooted in your being. The good news is not just old words or stories that we hear from time to time. They are the living manifestation of the unconditional love, truth, and wisdom that Jesus brought to the world, and which echo even more strongly in the hearts of those who are called. If you are here listening to these words, there is a reason for it. Nothing happens by chance. Something in you, perhaps without you knowing it, has been activated. The vibration of what you are about to discover has begun to attract this moment into your life. And what exactly are these good news? They are the certainty that we are not alone, that we are part of something much bigger than the reality that our limited senses can perceive. They show us that there is a divine consciousness operating behind everything, and that this consciousness is not distant or inaccessible. On the contrary, it lives within each one of us. Christ, in bringing this message, not only revealed a profound spiritual truth, but also left a map so that we can access this source of infinite wisdom and reconnect with who we truly are: divine beings, full of light and purpose. But to really understand the good news, we need to be open. It's easy to get lost in the distractions of everyday life, in problems and anxieties. Often, the voice of the spiritual call is drowned out by the noise of the outside world. However, if you stop and listen, that voice is clear. It guides you inwards, to that place where no confusion can exist, where peace and love are constant. And this peace is one of the promises of the good news, the certainty that regardless of external circumstances, there is a safe place within you where divinity dwells. This silent call that brings you closer to your own truth is what drives every step on the spiritual journey. Sometimes it may seem that the path is uncertain, that loneliness accompanies those who choose to follow it. But is this feeling of aloneness really an obstacle, or can it be a key that leads us to an even deeper understanding? Loneliness. How often does it knock on the door of those who, like you, are walking the spiritual path? Sometimes it seems that the closer we get to the truth, the more distant we feel from the rest of the world. This is a common feeling for the chosen ones. And it's important to understand that this loneliness, often seen as something negative, can be a great sign of inner growth. After all, when we respond to the spiritual call, we begin to move in a direction that is not always understood by everyone. The feeling of being alone, of being different, of not finding many who resonate with the same purpose, can be difficult. But in fact, this loneliness has a deep reason. As we connect with our divine essence, our values and perceptions of life change. Things that once made sense, like seeking external approval or following conventional paths, lose their importance. And with that, some friendships, conversations, and environments that once satisfied us no longer fulfill us. What once seemed normal now seems small, superficial, and that's when many chosen ones experience that feeling of spiritual loneliness. But is this loneliness really negative? Or is it an opportunity to delve deeper into ourselves? Christ on his journey also experienced this loneliness. He withdrew from the crowds to meditate, pray, and strengthen his connection with divine consciousness. He knew that, in solitude, we find space to listen to the deepest truths, those that are whispered by the soul. Often we are so surrounded by noise, distractions, and other people's opinions that we can't hear the most important voice, our own. When you feel alone, you're actually being invited to look inwards, to realize that although the path may seem isolated, you are never really alone. The whole universe is supporting you, and this aloneness is a reminder that your connection with the divine is individual and unique. It is in this space that we receive the greatest revelations, the answers to our deepest doubts. It is in this space that we learn to fully trust the flow of life, without depending on external approval or validation. If you're feeling the weight of loneliness, know that it's not a punishment, but a transition. You are moving away from energies and situations that no longer vibrate at your frequency, and in the meantime, you are being prepared for new connections, new paths, new opportunities. This doesn't mean that you should live in isolation, but rather that you need to understand the depth of this phase. What comes next is a purer, truer reconnection with those who also resonate with the same vibration. And curiously, as we immerse ourselves in this journey, we realize that this apparent loneliness begins to dissolve when we find something even more precious: the Christ consciousness within us, the source of all peace and unity. The emptiness we feel is not one of withdrawal, but an invitation to fill that space with something much greater, something that transforms our vision and our heart. As we dive into understanding our journey as chosen ones, there is a central concept that begins to take shape: Christ consciousness. But what does it actually mean to live this consciousness? And more importantly, how can it transform your life and raise your vibration in a way that affects every aspect of your existence? Christ consciousness is not a state reserved for the few. It is not a distant or mystical idea, something that only the most spiritually advanced can achieve. On the contrary, it is accessible to all of us, because it is the divine essence that dwells in every human being. Jesus came into the world to show us this, to remind us that the kingdom of God is within us, and that we can live this reality now, at this very moment. When we talk about raising your vibration, we're actually talking about aligning with that frequency of unconditional love and universal wisdom, where fear and limitations no longer have any power. Raising your vibration means leaving the energy field of scarcity, anxiety, doubt, feelings that keep us stuck in a low frequency. When Christ calls us to trust, forgive, and love unconditionally, he is inviting us to move our energy to a higher level. This is the transformative power of Christ consciousness. When we begin to vibrate in love and truth, the reality around us responds to this new frequency. So how can we raise this vibration on a daily basis? The first step is awareness. Being aware that your thoughts and emotions generate energy that shapes your reality. It's not just about spirituality, but something that quantum science also teaches us. Our thoughts emit frequencies, and these frequencies attract similar vibrations. If you vibrate in gratitude, you attract more situations that allow you to feel gratitude. If you vibrate in love, your life begins to reflect this energy in all directions. But this change requires practice and intentionality. Inner silence, meditation, and prayer are ways of strengthening your connection with Christ consciousness and keeping your vibration high. When we silence our minds and open our hearts, we become receptive to the divine presence, and it is in this state that our vibrations rise the most. Every moment we choose to respond with love instead of fear. Every situation in which we decide to forgive instead of harboring resentment, our vibration aligns more closely with the Christ frequency. Living Christ consciousness also means understanding that you have the power to transform the world around you. When your vibration is high, everything changes. Your health, your relationships, your work. You start to attract people, opportunities, and experiences that are on the same wavelength. Best of all, you begin to realize that the universe is conspiring in your favor in ways you never imagined before. This is more than just a personal change. It's a reflection of how, by changing your energy, you change reality itself. And when you experience these changes, the question often arises: how do we use this power consciously to shape the reality we want? After all, if we have this capacity for co-creation, what is the next step to manifesting this transformation in the external world? When we talk about co-creation, we are referring to the ability to create, together with the universe, the reality we want to live. This concept, which often seems distant, is actually one of the most profound teachings that Christ brought us. He showed us, through his words and actions, that we have the power to shape our reality not only through our physical actions, but mainly through our thoughts and intentions. If you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you will say to this mountain, "Move from here to there," and it will move, Jesus taught. But what does this really mean for our practical lives? Quantum physics, as explored by masters such as Haleo Couto, helps us understand this teaching on a deeper level. Today we know that everything in the universe is energy, including our thoughts. And this energy has the power to influence and shape the world around us. When Jesus spoke of the faith that moves mountains, he was teaching us to operate in this quantum truth, that our mind, when aligned with Christ consciousness, has the power to co-create the reality we desire. But to do this, we need to understand that co-creation is not simply about wishing for something and waiting for it to happen. It's about aligning our intentions with divine energy and acting in faith. The first key to co-creation is clear intention. Often, we don't manifest what we want because we're stuck in contradictory or confusing thoughts. We want prosperity, but we're constantly focused on the fear of scarcity. We want love, but we harbor hurts and resentments. Christ teaches us that in order to consciously co-create, we first need to purify our minds, let go of limiting beliefs, and align our thoughts with the divine truth, that we are worthy, capable, and always connected to the flow of abundance in the universe. Another important point is the power of visualization. Jesus often used parables and images to illustrate spiritual truths because he knew that our minds work best with symbols and clear images. When we visualize the life we want, with detail and emotion, we are emitting a frequency to the universe which, according to quantum physics, begins to attract what resonates with that image. It's not magic, but an energetic principle. If we keep our minds focused on thoughts of love, gratitude, and abundance, we inevitably start to attract situations that correspond to these vibrations. However, conscious creation also involves action. Christ showed us that faith without works is empty. Once you have clarity of intention and align your thoughts with this new reality, it's time to act. Even if they are small steps, these actions reinforce your vibration and show the universe that you are ready to receive. Remember, energy follows intention. When you set your energy in motion, the universe responds with synchronicities and opportunities that confirm the path. And this is how the power of Shan creation transforms the lives of those who practice it. The secret is to live according to this truth in every thought, word, and action. But as we learn to co-create, we come across a vital aspect of this journey: the power of forgiveness. Is it possible to co-create a truly elevated reality without first freeing ourselves from the emotional chains that bind us to the past? Forgiveness is one of the most powerful practices Christ taught us, and for many, it can also be one of the most challenging. When we hear about forgiveness, we often associate it with something moral or a concession we make to others. But in fact, Forgiveness is an act of energetic release that transforms not only the one who forgives, but also the reality around them. For the chosen ones, understanding forgiveness as a quantum key to raising their vibration and healing their deep wounds is essential to moving forward on the journey of self-transformation and co-creation. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting or justifying what happened. It means letting go of the emotional weight we carry. Every time we hold on to resentment, anger, or hurt, we are actually trapping ourselves in low-frequency energies. And these energies, like any other, continue to vibrate within us, affecting the way we see the world and shape our reality. If we are co-creators, as we saw earlier, then these negative energies end up influencing the quality of what we manifest. Forgiveness, therefore, is not just a gift we give to another. It is a gift we give to ourselves. Christ, in his wisdom, showed us that forgiveness is not a choice but a necessity for those who wish to live in peace and abundance. He forgave even those who crucified him, not out of weakness, but because he understood the energetic truth behind this action. He knew that carrying grievances keeps us stuck in the past, in situations that no longer exist, and prevents our energy from flowing freely. By forgiving, we cut the ties that keep us connected to these dense frequencies, and our vibration rises. This not only heals us, but also paves the way for the manifestation of new realities. And the power of forgiveness goes beyond releasing negative emotions. It has a direct impact on our energy field and our physical body. When we hold on to anger or resentment for too long, it creates energetic blockages that can eventually manifest as illnesses or imbalances. Forgiveness, on the other hand, restores the natural flow of energy in the body, allowing healing to take place from the inside out. This is why many spiritual masters, including Helio Couto, emphasize the importance of releasing these emotions as part of the quantum healing process. However, forgiveness also requires a deep degree of self-compassion. Often, forgiving others is easier than forgiving ourselves. We are hard on our mistakes and failures, and this creates a cycle of self-sabotage that hinders our spiritual growth. Christ also taught us about the power of self-forgiveness. When we recognize our faults but decide to forgive ourselves, we take a huge step towards healing. Accepting that we are evolving beings, learning from each experience, frees us to move forward and raise our vibration. And once this cycle of forgiveness, both of others and of ourselves, has started, we begin to notice something wonderful. Life flows more smoothly, opportunities arise more easily, and our energy begins to attract what we really want. But there is another important aspect to this journey of forgiveness and liberation that allows us to advance even further: the understanding of the universal abundance that is available to each of us. As we walk the path of forgiveness and release, something extraordinary begins to happen. The energy that was previously blocked by resentment and hurt begins to flow freely, and this puts us in resonance with universal abundance. Throughout his life, Christ taught us that abundance is not something reserved for the few, but a gift available to all who are open to receiving it. However, it is often we who prevent this abundance from entering our lives, trapped in limiting beliefs of scarcity, lack, and unworthiness. The abundance of which Christ speaks is not limited to material goods. It is much broader. It's about abundance in all areas of life: love, joy, health, peace, and yes, also material prosperity. Basically, the message is clear. The universe is infinitely generous, and we, as co-creators of this reality, are called to participate in this flow. But to do so, we need to plant the right seeds. And these seeds begin in the fertile soil of our hearts, in the intentions we carry, and in the way we see ourselves in the world. How many times have we caught ourselves thinking that we are not worthy of receiving what the universe has to offer? This kind of thinking creates an invisible barrier that keeps us from abundance. Jesus reminded us that by trusting in God and our divine connection, everything we need will be given to us. When he says, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you." He teaches us that when we live in alignment with Christ consciousness, abundance manifests naturally. This doesn't mean that we can simply expect everything to happen effortlessly. The secret lies in being in tune with the flow of giving and receiving, recognizing that abundance begins within. For many of us, the feeling of scarcity comes from an ingrained belief that something is missing, that what we have is not enough. And this belief is reflected in all areas of our lives. But just as in the example of the seeds, what we plant internally, beliefs, thoughts, and emotions, grows and manifests itself in the external world. If we plant fear of scarcity, we reap more scarcity. If we plant gratitude and trust, we begin to reap abundance. What Christ showed us, and which today is reinforced by the discoveries of quantum mechanics, is that our vibration attracts what resonates with it. If we vibrate in gratitude, we open the field to receive more of what we want. But in order to receive the gifts of the universe, we also need to be willing to give. The cycle of abundance is a constant flow of exchange. By giving with an open heart, without expectations or attachments, we create a space for the universe to repay us in ways we often don't expect. When we share what we have, be it time, energy, love, or material resources, we activate this abundant flow. Jesus taught us this in a simple but powerful way. Give, and it will be given to you. And so, when we free ourselves from the bonds of scarcity and begin to vibrate in trust and generosity, we begin to realize the gifts that were always available to us. The abundance we so desperately seek outside of ourselves begins to flourish within us, and this transforms the way we relate to the world. But there is one last fundamental step in this journey. How can we manifest this abundance in a concrete and practical way in our daily lives, making it a tangible reality in every aspect of our lives? At this point in the journey, we understand that the good news of Christ are not just abstract teachings or lofty concepts to be admired from afar. They are an invitation to live a new reality, here and now, integrating abundance, healing, and co-creation into every aspect of our daily lives. But how do we turn this spiritual understanding into practical action, into something that truly shapes our daily lives? Manifesting the kingdom of God, as Christ taught us, means bringing the principles of Christ consciousness into our daily choices. We often think that spirituality is something reserved for moments of prayer or meditation, or that it only manifests itself in great revelations or miracles. However, the real power of living this good news lies in how we deal with the small moments. In the seemingly simple decisions we make every day, Christ teaches us that the kingdom of heaven is within us, which means that the way we think, feel, and act must be aligned with this truth. One of the most practical ways of manifesting the kingdom is through conscious presence. Being present in every moment, bringing intention and attention to everything we do, transforms ordinary actions into acts of spiritual elevation. When we are fully present, without letting ourselves be carried away by scattered thoughts or negative emotions, we open up space for Christ consciousness to flow through us. That simple gesture of kindness, listening attentively to someone in need, or even a routine task such as cooking or cleaning the house, can become sacred acts, if done with love and full attention. Another essential aspect of manifesting the kingdom of God in everyday life is living in coherence with what we believe. The good news calls us to a life of truth and integrity. We can't just talk about love, compassion, and forgiveness. We need to actively practice them. In moments of conflict, when we are challenged or tested, that is when the opportunity to manifest the kingdom becomes most real. Choosing the path of love, even when it's difficult, and opting for peace, even in the midst of the storm, are practical ways of putting Christ's teachings into action. And as we do this, we not only transform our own lives, but we profoundly impact the environment around us. Living the good news in everyday life also involves recognizing and responding to the signs that the universe offers us. When we are aligned with Christ consciousness and our vibration is high, we begin to notice synchronicities, little clues and opportunities that guide us on our journey. These signs can appear in the form of unexpected encounters, repetitive messages, or even that inner feeling of intuition that points us in the right direction. The kingdom of God manifests itself through these synchronicities, and when we pay attention to them, our lives become even more aligned with the divine flow. And finally, to manifest the kingdom is to live with full confidence in the process of life. Christ taught us that we don't need to worry about the future, because what we need will always be given to us. When we live with this confidence, without holding on to anxiety or fear, we become open channels for the universe to bring us everything we need. The practice of constant gratitude, even in the little things, keeps us attuned to the frequency of abundance and inner peace. Thus, throughout this journey, we learn that true awakening is not just an isolated spiritual experience, but a daily practice. It is through these small choices, this constant intention to align our thoughts and actions with the love and wisdom of Christ, that we begin to manifest the kingdom of heaven here on earth, transforming every aspect of our lives into a living expression of the good news. And now, the next step is to live this truth with courage and awareness, letting the divine light that dwells within you shine ever brighter. This is your calling. The journey we have just been on is not just a reflection on the good news of Christ, it is a powerful invitation for you to transform your life now. The truths you have discovered here have the potential to change every aspect of your existence. You are a co-creator of the kingdom, capable of manifesting peace, abundance, and purpose in every step you take. This is your calling, to live your truth, raise your vibration, and transform the world around you. If this content has touched your heart and made sense to your soul, don't keep this light to yourself. Subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and share this message with everyone who needs this truth. Let's spread this good news together, expanding the consciousness of those around us. Comment below on what resonated most with you and, above all, deep gratitude for being here until the end. Your journey has just begun, and we are all on this path of awakening together. See you in the next video.